Welcome back to Hannity. The horrific terrorist attack in Orlando is just the latest example of radical Islamists wreaking havoc on the free world. Earlier today, Hillary Clinton said she had no problem, finally, after months of saying she wouldn't use the term radical Islam. Watch this.
I have clearly said that we face terrorist enemies who use Islam to justify slaughtering innocent people. And, you know, whether you call it radical jihadism, radical Islamism, I think they mean the same thing. I'm happy to say either.
But is Hillary Clinton being genuine? I doubt it. After all, 6 months ago, Hillary Clinton was singing a very different tune. Let's watch.
What's the problem with radical Islam?
Well, the problem is that sounds like we are declaring war against a religion. And that, to me, is number one, wrong.
Even though the qualifier radical is there?
No, because, look, you know enough about religion. You've studied it. And there are radicals, people who believe all kinds of things in every religion in the world. I don't want to do that because, number one, it doesn't do justice to the vast numbers of Muslims in our own country and around the world who are peaceful people.
What a phony. Anyway, back with us, former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich. All right, there are 4 issues I have identified that I think Orlando Yes.
Wait. Before you get to that, I just want to point out to the audience, somebody who could say, comparatively, that there are radicals in every religion at a time when Fort Hood,
San Bernardino,
California,
San Bernardino, yeah,
Chattanooga, Boston, and now Orlando were all caused by radicals in one religion. I mean, for her to try to hide behind this kind of goofy left-wing intellectual baloney tells you just how dangerous the Obama-Clinton worldview is.
There are 4 big issues that Donald Trump, I would argue, pretty courageously stepped out on in this campaign. That is about Syrian refugees, about building a wall. We know that there are reports that Middle Eastern people cross the border, homeland security, and I think energy independence is related as well. But let's start with the issue of the refugee population. Now, here you have James Clapper, Director of National Intelligence, James Comey, our FBI Director, our Assistant FBI Director, our House Homeland Security Chairman, Representative McCall, and Obama's former envoy to defeat ISIS, have all said ISIS will infiltrate the refugee population. Donald Trump says, until we can vet them, a temporary ban. He's attacked. Hillary Clinton wants to bring in tens of, if not hundreds of thousands of them. Why are they willing to gamble with the lives of the American people, considering ISIS has said this is their strategy, and it happened in Belgium and it happened in Paris?
Well, first of all, the Congress ought to pass a 18-month ban just to set a breathing spell so we can figure out what the heck we're doing. Second, I think we ought to take this head on. And you put it exactly right. Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton are willing to risk American lives. Somebody said to me today that making America safe again may be as important as making America great again.
Wow.
So you have, on the one hand, Trump, whose bias is American safety, and Hillary and Barack Obama, whose bias is appeasing left-wing international groups and terrorist groups. I mean, it is astonishing. The obvious fact is we have no capacity, zero, to vet people coming out of Syria. The place is a total disaster. We don't have the right intelligence capabilities. We don't have access to the right documents. We have no idea who these people are. And remember, again, it's not just foreigners. The biggest recent examples in California, in Texas, and in Florida were Americans. And so we're going to have to adopt policies both for foreigners and for Americans if we're going to protect the country.
And very compassionately, I know I've supported this. I know Donald Trump in interviews with me has said we would create safe zones in countries like Syria. We'd protect them militarily. We'd provide food, water, medicine, cots, blankets, baby formula, and anything else they needed. It's not like we are unwilling to help people that are victims of a civil war here. We're a compassionate country. But when you go to the refugee issue and the immigration issue and the homeland security issue, and certainly Hillary taking money from the Saudis, $25 million for the Clinton Foundation, death penalty for gays, no rights for women, never criticizes them, doesn't this highlight how this is now developing into a choice election? Very different visions for this country.
Sure. I mean, you have on the one hand the Obama-Clinton worldview that the world matters, that when on balance you ought to risk the American economy, you ought to risk American lives, you ought to risk the American Constitution, that we should always be subordinate to some vague international order that they have in the back of their heads. On the other side, you have a legitimate effort by Trump to say, you know, let's protect Americans first. Let's protect the American economy first.
Let me ask
Let's protect American jobs first. Huge difference.
Isn't there a conflict? If you were born and raised under Sharia law, and you think as a man you have the right to tell women how to dress, that they can't drive a car, you give them permission if they're going to go to work or school, for male eyewitnesses for rape, etc. If you live in a country and grow up with that mindset, how can we ever ascertain whether you come here for freedom or if you come here to indoctrinate and proselytize? Is there?
Well,
I don't think you can ascertain that ever. There's no background check.
We got very good in dealing with the Soviets and looking at people like Solzhenitsyn and figuring out which side they were on. It's not easy, and frankly, we were under great pressure from the American left, which pretended that there were no communists and pretended that the entire thing was just phony, even though we now know as a fact, because we have the Soviet KGB archives, that in fact the American left lied to us all the time, including the New York Times and others. And there were spies, and there were people who hated America and wanted to destroy us. We're back in the same business. So my only point, Sean, is very simple. When in doubt, say no.
Good.
The left's view is don't even ask the question.
Sharia law is in direct conflict with everything we believe as a constitutional republic. Mr. Speaker, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Appreciate your time as always.